So this is a question I've gotten a bit recently in my Introductory Physics for Life Science class about why you always in physics want a scatter plot and never a line plot. Let's take some sample data here. We've got time in seconds as our independent variable and position in meters as our dependent variable. This is just some data I threw together for the purpose of illustration. Let's say you create let's start with the one that we do want, a scatter plot. So we go to scatter, we select the dots here. And basically what this does is it means that each one of these dots corresponds to one pair of the data. So I can hover over this one, and I've got the little screen there that'll say 0.5, 0.24995. And I can match that up with this data point right here, 0.5 for the time value, and just under a quarter for the dependent variable. If I go to the next one, that one's at 0.78 and 0.6. Sure enough, over here, I've got 0.78 and 0.6. So each one of these dots references the time value along the horizontal axis and the position value along the vertical axis. Now let's suppose we repeat that process and we instead go to a line plot. So this is what this thing looks like in a line plot. Again, over on the right, we have the scatter plot for reference. The first thing we notice is that these are connected while these are separate. And while that's an important distinction, that's not actually the main reason why you want a scatter plot instead of a line plot. Because, for example, you can get a graph where these are connected by going over to Insert Scatter and selecting this option where they are connected together. See how this scatter plot here, this is more traditionally what we mean by a scatter plot, where it has points. And this line here, they have different features, but they are tracking the same relationship between these two, right? They are still looking at going, kind of along this curvy pattern here. Whereas here, the thing that we made from the line plot, so let's give this a title to remind ourselves this is the line plot, do not want. The important distinction here is that this thing actually gives me two graphs. Over here, this gives me one set of dots, or here, one set of connected lines. But here, it's giving me two. Why does it give me two? Why does this one have a blue and an orange, and this thing just gives me one set of blue? And the key difference is this is graphing two different things. It's graphing time in blue, and it's graphing position in meters. It just started raining outside, so I'm sorry if that's interfering with the microphone here. And so this is not really a graph of anything, because on the horizontal axis, it's not actually graphing anything. It's just graphing the number for the data. It's saying here's data point 1, data point 2, data point 3, data point 4. And so whereas on my scatter plot, the horizontal spacing follows the values of my data, this one does not. This one just counts the number of data points, right? I don't have any data points over here in my table that refer to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. And so this is not a graph of position versus time. So when we ask for a graph of position versus time, we are not talking about a graph of position and a graph of time. We're talking about a graph that has position on the vertical axis, time on the horizontal axis.